Hey guys, Irvy here. Today I want to talk to you about motivation. It is the most common question that I receive, especially when I post before and after pictures on my Instagram, and that is, where do I find the motivation? What keeps me motivated? In line with that, also, what motivated me to want to lose weight in the first place? I would like to answer those questions in this video, and also my thoughts and feelings about the idea of motivation itself. The first thing I want to cover is what motivated me in the first place. It was really just being extremely unhappy and uncomfortable with where I was in life. The dissatisfaction with where I was and the reflection that I was seeing in the mirror far outweighed the comfort element that food offered for me and the laziness aspect. So the desire for change was greater than the desire to stay the same. Essentially, what motivates me now and keeps me going is when I finally did something about it and the changes that ensued. Seeing those changes is what motivates me now. To me, there's two types of motivation, internal and external. External being whether it be from the media perspective, so seeing other people's progress, or seeing motivational speeches, images, videos, seeing fitness bodies online, things like that. Or the other key external motivator might be people or elements of our lives that we take our personal changes and attach them to that as a motivation. So for example, if you are with a partner, significant other, and you break up and you say, you know what, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds, get myself the most banging body, and make him or her regret what they lost. So to me, that's the worst thing you can do, because the motivation isn't even to lose weight. The motivation is to seek revenge, to elicit a emotional response from the object of your now lost affection, right? So to me, that kind of motivation is the worst of its kind. I would never recommend it to anybody. And anybody who tells me, this is my plan, and then proceeds to tell me that, this is their reasoning, tell them, stop, hold on, let's reconsider what you're doing here. Because you're not motivating, or you're not trying to lose weight. You're trying to obtain a revenge or elicit an emotion from somebody else. So your focus is going to be on the revenge aspect, not on the weight loss aspect. And mindset has everything to do with weight loss. This is why I failed many times in the past, because I would attach my motivation to external sources. So I would put up a picture of myself on the fridge fat, or I would put up a really fit girl on the fridge and say, I want to look like her. But instead of motivating me, that actually ended up demotivating me, because it made me feel so far removed from where I was to begin with. It made me feel inferior, and it made me feel guilty anytime I would eat, regardless of whether it was healthy or not, right? So a lot of negativity was building up as a result of me trying to seek motivation from media. So whether it be, like Instagram nowadays, or magazines, or, anything really that is a visual element, right? So I removed all of those things and internalized it. So internal motivations come from the self, and it's about the self. And that to me is what is the key to actually a successful weight loss journey. I'm motivated when I actually make my before and afters for Instagram. I make them to motivate other people and to show them that, it's possible. And if I could do it, so can you. But when I'm making these images, when I see myself and how much I've changed, even when it was the first time around, I see a tangible visual representation of my efforts. And even though it takes time and effort, I'm seeing what I'm doing. It's not just a reflection in the mirror, because let me tell you, in the beginning, when you first start to try and find the changes in the mirror, it's not as obvious as when you actually compare an image side by side, because our brain gets accustomed to seeing ourselves, and the changes aren't even obvious. So for me, seeing the before and afters as I'm making them is a huge, if not one of the biggest motivating factors. Recently, I posted up few months difference. So I think from January until just a couple of weeks ago, before and after, and I wasn't even aware of how much my body had changed because it was so small compared to the big picture. Pun intended or no pun intended, depending on how you look at it. It was minuscule and hardly noticeable to me visually, but when I saw the picture side by side, it became obvious how much my body had changed. Even though in size it was very small, the shape of my legs and, you know, everything was very, very different from even just January to May. So seeing myself change in pictures, and this is why I recommend taking befores, a lot of befores. Also how I feel in general, so having an increased energy, feeling healthier. Now when I eat like crap for an extended period of time, it really reflects in how I feel, even how I think. When I eat, and don't get me wrong, I'm not eating healthy, clean 100% of the time. I believe in the 80-20 rule. When I do eat like crap for, you know, too long, and I don't go to the gym for too long, my mindset all of a sudden starts to change as well. I get into the lazy, the guilt, all the negative elements starts to creep up. And that, to me, not wanting to experience that is a motivating factor. So, you know, sometimes 2-3 days will go by I haven't worked out. And then when I start to lose that drive, I won't call it motivation, when I start to lose the drive for it, I remember how crappy it feels to start over. I remember how crappy I can potentially feel just by not doing these things, you know, the negative mental state that's already starting to, you know, act up in my mind, you know, about, you know, feeling guilty, feeling not so good, and not feeling energized, all those things. I become aware of them, and the desire to not experience those things is so strong that right away I'm like, I'm going to the gym. Even if I don't feel that I have the energy for it, I will go anyway and push myself. And then I you know, everything's normal. And that's what's been the motivating factor. So I'm not neurotic about my clean eating and going to the gym, you know, 6 days a week, It's like, yeah, I do these things, but I also give myself wiggle room because it is a lifestyle, okay? I'm not in a rush, and this is part of the reason why it's been successful and why I'm consistently motivated, is because I don't put the pressure on myself. I don't associate negative thoughts or feelings with food, and seeing the before and afters. So to me, the motivational key is internal. It's all, to me, internal. And anything external, even if you are motivated by that, it's very short-lived. If I see a picture, let's say online, and I say, wow, that's sort of the goal that I want for my body to be, the motivation and the drive that comes from seeing that visual is very, very short-lived. And what I mean hours, not even, sometimes half an hour, I'll be like inspired and then be like, whatever, like it's gone. You know, I go like do something and 30 minutes later, like I don't even remember. So to me, it's irrelevant. But the impact of seeing myself change is what really is the key. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that I answered the question about how and where I find motivation. And maybe you learned about the importance between external and internal. I firmly believe that external motivation is, although very useful, is short-lived. So I think it needs to be internal in order for it to be successful and long-lived, because it comes from in here first and foremost, right? Aside from that, let me know in the comments below what motivates you. Maybe somebody who is, you know, looking for more will maybe find you as a source of inspiration. So please put that in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you here later.